As Annabel says, my name's Callum Court. I studied this module last year as part of my studies. And I'm just going to sort of go through what I kind of thought about the module, and in particular kind of what I gained from it in this academic and professional sense. I mean, the first kind of thing that really struck me about synoptic physics was how clear and sort of structured synoptic physics was. And initially, my fear was that it would become quite repetitive, because every week we were doing essentially the same format, but the problems were completely different in every single way. And I think we then, when viewing these presentations by these, people are top in their field, and it's really good for us to sort of sit there and meet these people and even learn more about our lecturers that we perhaps didn't know. It really did demonstrate to us how the physics we're learning in the classroom and these really controlled problems are actually applicable to these real-world issues that top scientists are going through, and we're able to just do them with just the physics we've learned. And it's a real, it felt quite profound at the time that we were able to do it. It's certainly something I'd never sort of envisaged the course being about. And so the problems themselves were incredibly wide-ranging. You say we were sending rockets to Jupiter, we were designing MRI machines, we're working out how much energy we can get from the Severn barrage. And those things sound quite dramatic when you say, "Oh, you're going to send a rocket to Jupiter today." You're sort of thinking, "Okay, how am I even going to start about doing that?" But by the end of 5 o'clock, you've put a rocket on Jupiter, and hopefully every astronaut's got there safely, although you never know. So, in order to actually solve these problems in a team working aspect, we have to obviously work quite quickly and efficiently as a team, and that doesn't always work out. And some teams are better than others. I was quite lucky. My team, we worked pretty well. So generally that means selecting a team captain. Once you've gone through the 4 weeks of having your team captain selected, we generally selected a captain who had the most interest and any kind of background in these particular problems, and they would allocate tasks to the other team members. And those tasks could be anything from, actually writing the report, doing the mathematical calculations, doing any computational simulations, or even just looking at background theory. And sort of because of that, we've gained a whole range of skills that Dr. Cartwright has talked about before. It's such a huge range of teamwork and leadership. We've done time management. There's all kinds of working to tight deadlines, report writing. There's such a huge amount. And for me personally, that came in huge help when I went to a placement interview. Slightly nervous, sat there thinking, what are they going to ask me next? And he asked me, give me a time when you've worked in a team. And in that moment of panic, you have a bit of a mind blank and don't know what to say. But then I realized I had 9 separate examples just from one course where I'd worked in a team with 4 other people. Things have gone wrong. We've worked out how to solve them. And then I realized I'm talking for 20 minutes about one simple problem. And it really helped. And as a result, I did actually get the placement that I went for with that. So that helped me a lot. But we weren't only report writing, and we are doing things like presentation skills, which is something I'd never actually had the opportunity to do up until last year in my studies at all. And being able to do my first presentation in a sort of way where it's controlled, you're in front of people and you're also getting helpful feedback from that from that presentation, really kind of has given me a lot more confidence in my speaking, and also means that going forward into my final year project presentation, or even further with that into work, I'm much more confident and able to speak in front of people, and hopefully I'm doing much better. So another important point of those presentations and the course as a whole is the ability to reflect on our own performance and the performance of our peers. And marking other people's presentations really sort of says, okay, what do we think worked in this presentation? What do we think didn't work? And that is completely different. I'd never approached anything from that aspect before. And I realized that watching 9 other presentations really makes you think, oh, no, I really know what doesn't work. Someone who stands at the top and stands at the front and looks at the ground the whole time isn't perhaps as connected as someone who speaks with a lot of confidence, and that really helps. And then on the other scale of reflecting on our own performance, the reflective statement really made me think, what do I do well, but probably more importantly, what don't I do so well? And how do I improve my performance in any kind of range of physics problems? And I think overall, although I think as Annabel touched on, it doesn't necessarily mean that the students do so well in these kind of modules. I didn't do as well as I would expect to do in a really standard, here is a module, here's an exam. But I think I actually learned a lot more out of it than anything I could get from a percentage in some other exam. And I think that's probably the most useful thing. That although I was just slightly not disappointed, but didn't do as well as I would have done normally, I still gained a lot more. And I think that's something that probably a lot of students need to sort of embrace a bit more, as we were saying earlier about students we are more concerned with getting high grades than actually possibly the skills that will make us better employees or better scientists. So that is a key point that I think synoptic physics really hits perfectly. And so in an overall perspective on how I approach physics problems, I think it's more of an academical sense that I now view physics as not a compartmentalized subject where you study quantum mechanics for 12 weeks and you can only solve quantum mechanics problems with quantum mechanics or any other part of physics. Now, I see a problem, I think, okay, I might not know anything about this, but can I bring some other physics that I've learned into this topic and really get a sound solution to the problem? I think, as we were talking about with the NSS results, that is a huge part of learning that I've improved through doing this module, that I can now take on an unfamiliar problem just from looking at all the background knowledge I've learned in the last 17 years of studying. So sort of sum up on that whole topic is that really I thought the module was exceptionally well structured, well thought out. It hits all the targets that you were aimed to hit. And I really think that having done it, I am probably a much better scientist, student, and employee, hopefully, in the future. And definitely other academic schools can learn a lot from applying this sort of basis to learning for their students. That's pretty much all I had to say. So thank you very much for listening.